we're going to do the review of 10-3. Now we're going to start off by adding or subtracting radicals. And much like when we would, side note over here, maybe do 2x plus 7x minus 3x, these are all like terms. So my final answer would be 9x minus 3x, which is 6x. We're going to do the same thing here. You can only add and subtract radicals if they have like radical terms attached to them by multiplication. So I'm going to be looking at these coefficients. So I have 2 minus 7, which is a negative 5, minus 5, which is a negative 10. So I would have negative 10 and then bring down the square root of 5, just like we brought over the x here. Number 2. Let's say they don't have like radicals. What do I do then? Well, I may need to simplify them like we did in the previous section. Notice I'm keeping my list of perfect squares over here. I need to do that at all times, so that reminds me of what I have to choose from. The highest perfect square that will go into 32 is 16 times 2. Minus 3, 50 would be 25 times 2. Minus square root of 9 times 2. I'm changing all these numbers under the radical to a perfect square times another number. So this one would be square root of 16 is 4, times 2 is 8, square root of 2. Square root of 5 times 3 is 15, square root of 2. And then square root of 9 times 3, that would be square root of 9 is 3, times 3 is 9, square root of 2. Now they all have like radicals. So I do 8 minus 15 minus 9. 8 minus 15 is going to be a negative 7, and a negative 7 minus 9 is a negative 16, square root of 2. Now remember, if you're using this for practice for your quiz tomorrow, what I would suggest is that you stop it when I write the problem, you try it, and then play the video to see how it's worked out. Number 3. Distributive. Square root of 6 times square root of 10 plus square root of 15. Alright, now this one is multiplication first. So we would distribute this to each one of them. Square root of 6 times square root of 10 is square root of 60. So when we're multiplying radicals, we can multiply any radicals together. And we just take what's underneath the radical, find their product, put it under one radical. Square root of 6 times square root of 15 is going to be 90. And then I check to see if these can be simplified like I've done before. Again, I've got my perfect squares list. This is going to be 4 times 15 plus this one's going to be 9 times 10. Square root of 4 is 2. Leave the 15 under there. Square root of 9 is 3. And then leave the 10. That would be my final. I cannot add these. They are not like radicals. Alright, let's move on to where we would have to FOIL. Okay. 2 more problems. Number 4. What if I had something that looked like this? That means to write it out. That's the shorthand way. That means to write it out times itself. Now this is not multiplying by the conjugate. I cannot do the shortcut because they're not opposite signs. So I'm going to have to do FOIL. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times the negative square root of 15 is negative 5 square root of 15. Negative square root of 15 times 5 is negative 5 square root of 15. And negative square root of 15 times negative square root of 15 is a positive 15. Remember, any radical times itself is just the number. So, like terms, I see some like terms, 25 and 15. That's going to give me 40. Then this here in the middle, negative 5, this is using the rule before. If they're like radicals, I can add or subtract them. Negative 5 minus 5 is a negative 10 square root of 15 as my final answer. Alright, last problem deals with foiling also. And this one's going to be actually a conjugate. How do I know it's a conjugate? It's the exact same binomial except one is addition and one is subtraction. So I can actually, you can certainly FOIL and you will get the right answer. But you can do the shortcut, which is first and last. 4 times 4 is 16. And then positive square root of 3 times negative square root of 3 is just a subtract 3. Because a radical times itself is just the number. And that would be 13. Hopefully you will find these videos helpful. Watch them again if you need to, and make sure that you do your practice problems from your homework.